This week on Too Noobs, an NPR contributor is in trouble for exposing what we've known all about the organization for 20 years. Why let facts get in the way of a good agenda? Then we have a twofer on basketball stupidity. We have to give the leader of the free world an Econ 101 lesson about Caitlin Clark's WNBA contract, and an NBA player gets banned for life. Next, we recap the Flyers' recently completed season, good or bad. And finally, one Philly team will win for being the best team not to win. Start the music that hasn't started? It's episode 186 of Two Noobs Talking, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a great week. I had to write a check to the IRS. It's
Sorry.
never a good time.
That's the worst. I'm sorry.
It's totally the worst.
Yes.
So
I'm
you're
sorry.
essentially paying for my refund, Steve.
There you go. Nice.
So you're sending that money to me. That's great.
No, that's not actually the case. I had to cut a check because I don't get paid a salary with withholdings. I just
Yes.
get paid,
Yes.
and I have to
You have to pay.
pay.
Yeah. You have to do
the
their. You have to
government.
pay them to do their job.
Exactly. Yes.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
I owed, and so therefore I had to pay.
So then I guess,
Um,
again, to my point, the next time we get together for lunch is on me then?
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. Because
That's
I don't know why I
absolutely
just
true.
volunteered myself for that, but what the hell?
It was one of those things where the accountant sent the email. Is like, yeah, you got to write a check, and my jaw just about hit the
Oh,
table. And
Oh.
yeah, that's what do you got to do?
Yeah.
It's the way they do it is kind of stupid. but
Yes.
yeah.
It's so
Yes.
convoluted. That's
Yes.
the
It
thing.
is.
It's so incredibly convoluted where the poorest of the poor don't pay anything and the richest of the rich do pay a ton. And I'm like, huh? Why don't we
Well-
just have a flat, even curve?
The richest of the rich pay only if they are
Ah.
getting income.
yes,
Ah.
and most
So-
of them, the rich are rich, don't get income.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They make money. They don't get income.
I'm with you though, Matt. It would make a hell of a lot more sense
Yes.
if you just said, "Hey, 10% for everybody."
Yeah.
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 Whatever,
Yeah, but
Well,
None of this.
don't say that out
whining.
loud because those idiots in Congress will start knocking that thing around, and then all of a sudden,
Oh, of course.
they'll ban fun, and you'll
Right.
pay 187%
Yeah.
because that's what they do.
Well,
It's
the stupider
Quiet.
part is when you're a business owner like I am, you have to pay estimated taxes.
Mm-hmm.
oh
So
my God.
Every quarter,
Yep.
you have to pay them what you think you're going to owe at the end of the year.
Oh my
Overpay,
Lord.
overpay. That's the best thing to do.
Maybe we ought to lean
Stupid.
6 to tax code. Maybe that's what my next project should be.
Oh,
I'll
no,
lean
don't
6
do
to-
that. Don't do that.
You don't think so?
No, because what you're going to do is the corruption dragon that's underneath all that paperwork is going to
Yeah.
eat everybody once it comes out. So, no, you got to keep putting the red tape over top of it and don't pay attention to it.
Oh God. trust me.
Nobody's going to notice that they're stealing your money if you don't mention it.
All I hear is, this is the way we've always done it. Well, I don't want to hear that,
Well,
John. There's always problems. We got to fix it.
Just
Well,
saying.
Matt, the other issue is you might make AOC's head explode. Just,
Yes.
It hasn't already? I'm shocked.
RICO's not a crime.
I guess, I guess not.
All right. Well, anyway, let's get into this. Sitting over there is jerky John Tracy. Over here is murky Matt Craig. I in the middle. I'm smirky Steve Murray. We're rhyming today for no good reason.
Who the
None
hell gave him
whatsoever.
sugar before this episode?
I still have some leftover Easter candy I'm pecking away at. So
Well,
that,
there you
know.
go.
Plus, I had a fudge dip devil dog right after lunch.
This is
Oh,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. I'm going to turn into cornholio if I have any.
Nice.
more.
Oh.
Well, why don't we? And this
How
is, this
can I
is-
DoorDash him ice cream?
Like right now.
Right now.
Hang on, I gotta answer the door, fellas. I'll be right back. All right, well, why don't we get into our W Energy fun fact, because Matt's got that duty today for some weird reason.
You said
Yeah.
duty.
Duty. We're devolving already today. Anyway, if you go to dubby.gg, it's dubby.gg, or you download the app, you can shop for all kinds of stuff. Enter the promo code 2 Noobs Talking. That's TOONOO Talking. You get 10% off your order. We are pushing the limits today with Push and Punch, a Dubby custom flavor that blends, not bends, but blends, fruit punch and lemon lime. No crash, no jitters or angst. Thank God.
Thank God.
Get $4 off a $40 tub if you use our promo code. Don't say we never did nothing for you. All right, Matt, have at it.
Gents, cast your mind back to when you were in high school, right? You're getting ready to play some
Oh,
baseball.
please God, no. I want to go back there.
You're good enough to play on like the varsity baseball team and whatnot. I think one of us was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Murray, but I think you made, or were you JV?
No, I never played baseball for school.
Oh, you never played baseball for, okay. My apologies. I thought you did.
No,
but in
I
any
played
event,
club baseball.
Yes.
let's just say, okay, you're in club baseball, right?
Mhm.
You're 8th grade, 9th grade, and you're facing off against somebody called Bryce Harper, who's batting .626, 14 home runs, 55 RBIs. Oh, by the way, he has 45 extra base hits. Or you could go to Mike Trout. A couple years later, maybe you're playing senior ball, in high school. 531 average, 18 homers, 45 RBI. Or you could face off against the best catcher in baseball, JT Realmuto, who set the single-season RBI record in high school. Now get this, guys, with 119. Oh, by the way, he had 595 with 28 homers in 42 games. 119 RBI in his senior year.
Wow.
Or you could be our good buddy, Andrew McCutcheon, who hit his 300th home run recently off of us. Thanks a lot.
Ugh.
Hey. He's allowed.
But we loved him when he was here.
We did.
Senior year in high school, 709 batting average. 709. 16
Nice.
homers, 42 RBI. Just thought I'd throw that out there in case any aspiring high school ball player wants to measure themselves up among
Just
the
killing
greatest
dreams
and the best.
there. You're fun.
Well,
Those numbers blew me away. I always love seeing those numbers because they're like, it's so utterly ridiculous. Nobody's
I'm going to flex here.
Go for it.
As a 10-year-old, I did hit over 600.
There you go.
We won the championship. I went to the All-Star game.
There you go.
Nice.
And then with my last year of baseball, I was 14. I had 50 strikeouts.
Wow.
As a pitcher.
There you go.
And
Remember how
that
many
was
innings?
probably 14 games.
Oh,
There
nice.
you go.
And I wasn't allowed to pitch more than they were very conservative about protecting kids' arms. So you could never throw like more than 3 or 4 innings in a game, and you couldn't throw more than like twice a week.
They still had that. They still had that when my boys were playing.
There you go.
Yeah. So those are some stats for your ass.
There you go. There you go.
No,
You're
but
really what? Fastball, slider? Fastball, slider?
fastball, slider, changeup,
There you go.
curveball. I had 4 pitches.
You had the
Nice.
4-pitch arsenal. Look at you.
I did. And then that fat kid at the plate stuck his hand out. Pitch right down the middle, hit him in the hand. The umpire awarded him his base. I'd never forgive that guy, ever.
That's where you throw at the umpire's head, right? At that point? Okay. See, catch this, pal.
That was my job later in Steve's life.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Well, now that I've started a rant, John, you will continue with an
Yes.
over 40 rant to
Yes.
get us all fired up here. As a
Oh, boy.
It's not. It's just this is just over 40. I'm tired. So I have this phone. It's the Galaxy Flip, and it has issues, and that's fine because when I bought it, I knew it was going to have issues because it was new to the market. I'm not
Okay.
an idiot. I understood what I was getting into.
Oh,
It was
boy.
a good deal, $1,000 off your phone
Nice.
to try something. Why not? I'm not on my phone a lot when I'm working because I have a work phone that I'm on, and I have to be on that when I'm not really on my phone, so my phone sits in my truck all the time. So I'm like,
Sure.
what's the worst that could happen? So
Yeah.
a couple months ago, the screen shut off, And I contacted Samsung, and Samsung said, well, it's under warranty. Just take it to one of our local vendors, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Get it fixed. So it was on my birthday. I actually dropped it off on my birthday and picked it up the day after, and phone was perfect.
There you
So
go.
just last weekend, I was looking at my phone in the crease, and I'm starting to see the same wear.
Oh.
So I call Samsung, and I say, hey, it was repaired, blah, blah, blah. And I tell him the whole story. And the guy goes, okay, well, we can't help you because the warranty, like, we can't replace your phone because the warranty was up 2 days ago.
Oh.
I didn't
you're kidding me.
I didn't even give him my information.
Oh. What?
So I was like, oh, it was up, but you don't even know what kind of phone. Like, I didn't even give you my IEME.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, here's what we can do. We're gonna send you an envelope. Put the phone in there, and we'll fix it for you, and you'll get it back 7 to 10 days. I'm like, so what? I'm like, I'm confused at this point. Right? I'm like, well, can I go to the place that fixed it before? Like, what? And he was like, no, that's not an option because it's out of warranty. I'm like, but you don't know who I am. Like, how do you know that's out of warranty? So
that's what you think.
I don't understand.
So I hung the phone up. This was the Samsung support line. Like, Matt, please put it up there. It's the one on Google that you called, just so everybody knows not to call this number. I called the company that I went to before, and they're like, yeah, not a problem. Let's make an appointment. We'll take a look at it. We'll figure out. We'll deal with. I was like, I called Samsung. He was like, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. They're kind of dumb. And I appreciated him because he was like, don't play around with them. They're stupid.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so that was 30 minutes of my life that I'll never get back.
Never get back
Thanks,
again.
Samsung.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Never
out
get
of
again.
warranty.
So we think.
I think that's just their tagline.
Oh my
A little bit. I
gosh.
was half expecting you to say, "Well, we can't repair the phone because you voided the warranty when you had the screen replaced."
No, we're just out of warranty.
But you told me to replace the screen. Nevertheless, you voided the warranty.
I'm sure if I would have went deeper with him, I would have been. Yeah. I would have
Yeah, you
drowned.
would have been in a rabbit hole you would not have been able to get out of.
I'm glad I got out as quick as I did, but I just wanted to let. I know we make fun of Apple all the time, but god damn it, Samsung is just as bad.
Exactly.
Well, they probably know what phone you were calling from, and that's a little
You
freaky.
still
Whatever
don't know
happened to
who I am.
BlackBerry? Oh, that's right. They're out of business. The BlackBerry's out of business. I guess
That thing
Motorola.
never broke. I had that thing for 5 years.
Yeah, I did too. I had a BlackBerry. Yeah.
And I didn't have to search the app to find my emails. It would just pop up. And I would have, oh
amazing.
shit, I got an email. I can
Isn't it?
either answer it or get rid of it. Man.
Yeah, but I would spend so much time on the train going, "Oh God, the only thing on here is Brick Breaker."
Yeah.
Now I've got to
But
play
what
Brick
a
Breaker.
what a game, though. What a game.
I hated it, but I played it for hours, even though I hated it. It's like, especially with the track wheel. Oh my God!
Oh, yeah.
Using the track wheel to move that.
Oh,
platform.
my gosh,
I'll
that
take
was
you.
brutal.
I'll take you guys back just a little bit, just to know how ridiculous I am with cell phones. I once had an N-Gage, the video game phone
Yeah.
that you could buy cartridges and play video games
Oh, my
on,
gosh,
and then you
yeah.
would hold it up to your end. You could only talk in text, like there was nothing else. But I literally had like a pocket full of games, like Tony
Yeah.
Hawk, that I could play on the game at all times.
Isn't that amazing?
So yes, I always buy the ridiculous one. So I'm not saying it's just Samsung's fault. It's my fault because I like weird things. So
There you go.
I'm okay with it. Like I just want better customer service.
Please.
And
I
not
think
my,
we all do.
and not
Yeah.
my warranty to be out when you don't even know who the hell I am.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, that's awful.
It's probably just on the script he gets.
Yeah.
Person calls, tell them they're out of warranty because they probably won't question it. And you
Yeah.
didn't. See?
Oh no, I totally did.
You
I got
hooked
mad. I got mad, but I don't. I'm not a yeller, so I got mad. Like I was really upset, but
Yeah.
I refuse to yell at other humans because I just
Not
don't think
worth
there's
it.
any value in it. Because nothing ever good comes out of it. So
Exactly.
This must have happened after we recorded last week, because about an hour later
It
we got the
was.
text that says, "I got the over
Yep.
40."
Yep, that was totally happened almost directly after.
Nice. Oh,
All right. Well, speaking of outrageous, let's get to topic 1 here, gentlemen.
yeah.
It's their fault.
It is their fault. Yuri Berliner, who was a senior business editor, wrote an essay for the right-leaning online publication The Free Press, in which he said the company for which he edited, National Public Radio, or NIPR, he believes is losing the public's trust. He says there's an absence of viewpoint diversity. He said it has always had a liberal bent, but now an open-minded spirit no longer exists within NIPR. In a resignation statement on X, Twitter, Berliner briefly elaborated on the reason for his departure, which came days after NIPR reported that it had suspended him for 5 days without pay following the op-ed's release. Berliner wrote, "I respect the integrity of my colleagues and wish for NIPR to thrive and do important journalism, but I cannot work in a newsroom where I am disparaged by a new CEO whose divisive views confirm the very problems at NIPR I cite in my Free Press essay." He said in his essay, "In D.C., where NIPR is headquartered and many of us live, I found 87 registered Democrats working in editorial positions and 0 Republicans. None." He also criticized NIPR's coverage, or lack thereof, of certain stories such as the Mueller report, Hunter Biden's laptop, the origins of COVID-19, and systemic racism following the murder of George Floyd. We all knew this 20 years ago, didn't we, John?
That's my kind of question. How long was he with the company? Because you were leaning left during 2012 with the Obama administration. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I like that but this is a different time in the country where we actually can speak out loud, because
We
it
can?
didn't exist. It didn't exist in 2012. Come on, seriously. If this dude would have came out and said any of that in 2012, Hillary Clinton
yeah.
would have killed him.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah. There would've
Or
been a hit.
at least been named in the killing of him. You couldn't back then. You couldn't have the free speech didn't exist back then. It's tough now, but we can at least read these articles and talk about these articles now, and YouTube's not going to take it down. In 2012, they probably would have. So there is some progression. I don't know exactly what he sounds like he's right-leaning, arguing about left-leaning, and that's a little concerning to me. Like, why can't you just have an opinion and say, these guys aren't reporting the news? Why do you need to take such a harsh, it seems like when Republicans don't know what to say, they go to Hunter Biden's laptop. It's like, trust me, I've Googled it. It's not fun. I don't want to talk about it. But is it really news? He's a crackhead.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. I give him the credit for going on X and explaining that NPR is going left for the 6 people that didn't know they were going left.
Which might be their entire audience. I don't know. But I mean.
But I would like to shine light on the right side is doing the exact same thing. So let's just not call out one corporation. Let's call them all out, because they're all doing it, whether it's this way or that way.
It's true, but NIPR is government, has some government funding attached to it, unlike, say, Fox News, which is your right-leaning outlet for this kind of stuff. But Matt, are you happy he came out and it's not just that they're left-leaning, but that they are seeming to actively suppress.
They are,
counter viewpoints.
Very much so. Yeah.
Highly concerning.
Yeah, no, I'm very glad he came out. I think it was in the pipeline, this whole culture within NPR. It was definitely within their bloodstream for multiple years. And when that kind of culture just permeates and just festers, the people that clash against that from a particular worldview are going to want to leave. Either they feel like they're going to be disrespected for their particular positions on things or whatnot. But yeah, I'm really glad that happened. Quite honestly, it should have been done, to John's point, should have been done back in the 2012s, but for whatever reason was not. We can speculate, maybe try and figure out why that might be. But the troubling thing for me, and I shared this with you guys in pre-production, was this organization is 100% government funded. And we talk about the right always being somewhat paranoid, and they are. It's for this very reason. You are spending taxpayer dollars to alternatively turn around and give a liberal point of view towards things. And Washington, D.C. has always been kind of left-leaning to begin with. It's why it's called the swamp. Everything kind of just bogs down and drags itself down in there. It's very difficult for independents, Republicans, conservatives specifically, to go in there and say, hey, look, we really want to try and clean up this place because it kind of sucks. And if you're not able to do that on the left and understand like what makes you need to be better, you're going to it festers and it just kind of just balloons and grows, and you isolate all of your political opponents away from you. And you in and of itself become isolated, and you're ended up talking primarily to people that you agree with, but not necessarily those that disagree with you. That has just a really bad ramification all the way down through the line. And that's where we see it right now in our politics. And it's equally, Johnny, I couldn't agree with you more. It's equally as bad. You could go to the Daily Wire, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
The Daily Wire, I think, is like NPR-like in the fact that
they model themselves after. They are privately funded, but they did model themselves directly.
Right for NPR, exactly. And what's happening there is you have people cannibalizing themselves, whether it's, Candace Owens, of course, with her famous Israeli take on the Palestinian war with Hamas. It's,
Yikes.
it's not good. And it's just gone, I think, are the days of the Walter Cronkite, presenting you with the news with the cigarette in the mouth, kind of going, this is what happened in the world today. I kind of
need a bigger boat.
Yeah. I would just be more happy with them kind of just saying, this is who we are. Take it or leave it.
Or just not be funded by the government, because the government
or not be funded by the government.
That. Yeah. Or just create something, because don't they have, there's a bunch of them out there that are very extremely left-leaning, that are just like the right-leaning, and they're privately funded. I'm totally okay with that. Like, I just don't read you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
here.
Well, I think that in the years past, there have been calls to defund Nipper, but they always come from people like Beetlejuice Violator. So
makes sense.
It's easy to be like, dismiss it. But now this is coming from the inside. Someone on the inside has said, they're suppressing viewpoints with what they're doing is not good inside. And now it's finally being seized upon by other media outlets who are like, that's interesting. But I want to read you, because he mentions the new CEO, whose name is, I believe, Catherine Marr.
Okay.
I want to read you a quote that she had at a TED Talk. I don't remember if this is before she became head of NPR or if it was before.
I believe it was before, because
I think you're right.
I've heard this. I've heard this quote before.
Yeah,
and I didn't know she was the CEO. I've heard this quote. I was like, yikes! And then
right, this is the CEO of a news organization.
Yes, funded by the government. Funded by the government.
That's supposed to be bringing you the news. This is what she had to say. Perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start. In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done. As I see Matt shaking his head over there.
All right, 16 buzzwords. So she got that. She told the truth, Johnny, while telling a lie at the exact same time.
Yes.
So that's the model for today's. She's okay. So she's female. Okay, so she hits the fourth category. I can see why she's CEO. Okay, got it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I
We
mean,
hit all our quotas. We're good.
TED Talks to me are just like LinkedIn buzzwords. You're just basically just reading a whole ton of buzzwords and thinking that you're smart, but you're not. You're just basically just standing up there talking about things that just really don't matter in the terms of business.
Matt,
I've
you hurt
never
my
seen-
feelings. I don't know how we're going to continue.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that, Johnny. I'll send you a tissue.
Yeah.
Can I write down your address while you're on?
I can
Anyway.
get one on my own.
Yeah. I don't need one from you. You're like,
You tissue
yeah,
racist.
yeah, gosh, that quote is 100% cringe.
Yeah.
To be honest, your job is to report on who, what, where, why, and when, gents. I mean, that's
Yes.
what it's all about. Don't tell me that you're after the truth. That's none of your business.
Or
Your
not
business
after,
is to-
or not starting at the truth.
Right.
yeah. Your
still
job is
stop.
to write shit down and
Bad
tell me
place
what
to
happened.
start.
That is your job. Your job is to write shit down,
Yeah.
tell me what happened. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to go into investigative journalism. You don't have to do any of that.
I'm an idiot. So just I'm an idiot. So let me just ask a couple questions. Like, they have structure in the news world where if you have an opinion, you can write an opinion piece and they'll label it as opinion piece and then they put it out there. And then they have other places where if you investigated and you broke a story, they could put it in another like they have categories, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Good question.
But well, if the truth doesn't fit the agenda, well, then we'll just leave certain truths out of that other part where the story of who, what, when, where, and why is supposed
Yes.
to go. And it's like,
No.
well, or we just won't print it all together. Is
Yeah.
another. It's certainly disturbing that someone with this irreverence for the truth is in charge of a organization that's supposed to be, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, you hate journalists, but
Yeah.
the job of a journalist is to give you the truth.
Yes.
So you can know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please tell me what
I don't
happened.
think Matt hates journalists. He hates the news because journalists have disappeared.
Because of this.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they've
Yes.
disappeared. They've literally
Yeah.
this article actually reminds me of that meme that goes around where Larry David was on Saturday Night Live with Trump and
Yeah.
he's screaming, "Trump's a racist, Trump's a racist, Trump's a racist," and he goes, "Larry David, is that you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I heard you could get $5,000 if you yelled that." and Trump laughs and goes, "That's a pretty good deal." It's one of the best ones.
Yeah.
But that's what it reminds me of. It's literally what popped into my head.
Yeah. Yeah. For the record, I would say, yeah, I just hate the media in general because they just do not know what to do in terms of their job. Their
Sounds
job,
like this is part of the reason.
yes, their job is to tell me what happened, and then I, as an informed reader, will make the decision on what to do and what to think of it and all that kind of stuff.
That's
It is
too
not,
shocking.
yeah,
You can't do that.
we can't do that. Why would we do a thing like that?
Because they listen to this podcast and heard me say people are dumb.
Yeah.
So they just assume they need to fill their head.
Nor is it your responsibility as a journalist to change the world by your pen. No. Your job is to write stuff down and tell me what happened. That's it. You're not supposed to change the world with your pen, all that bullshit. No, you don't need that anymore.
You change the world by reporting the truth. And then with the
Yes.
truth, the people can figure it out.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You don't change the world by the way you view it.
Yes.
yeah.
That is narcissistic.
Lex Luger. All right. Well, moving on from Nipper, I think that's a pretty good acronym there.
Yes.
I like it.
Fund it, man. Government
Yeah.
fund.
Government funded nippers.
Ouch.
Oh my.
You probably would.
That's what I was looking for.
You probably would have had to pay so much in taxes if they weren't funded by the government, because government would
yeah.
have had more money and they wouldn't have had to ask you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have had to pay so much in taxes if, people like AOC and MTG and other
Oh,
acronyms in Congress, could actually do legislating instead of bitching at each other.
yeah.
Just give money to Ukraine and shut up. That's what we do. That's what we're doing. We're good at it.
Oh boy.
Well, unfortunately, gentlemen, it doesn't get any easier for topic
No.
2. We got a twofer of stupidity, although Matt also liked end one, so
Yes.
we'll throw both of them out there. You the user can decide
There you go.
which to go for.
And if you're
but-
not a Joel Embiid fan, stop watching this, because that's all I'm thinking about when Matt said that. It's all
Yeah.
night,
And
starting
one.
at 5 o'clock my time.
Right. Right. Well, actually, before we get into this one, because this first story is about Caitlin Clark, who, very good college career, overall top scorer, NCAA Division I.
Extremely good
Yep.
basketball player, yeah.
Extremely
Yeah.
good. Quite overshadowed the University of South Carolina, going undefeated.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
congratulations to Dawn Staley, Philly product,
Former Temple Owl. Yep.
former Temple Owl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You go, Dawn. If anyone was going to be the first female coach in the NBA, it would be Dawn Staley.
Yes.
She could do it. She could do it. Yeah.
She could do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Caitlin Clark just overshadowed that, which I think is a shame, because as good as Caitlin Clark is, you had an undefeated season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
and you blew people out.
Yeah.
It
Not
wasn't
even
even
close.
close.
Yeah, they were the best team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, but anyway, this actually doesn't really have anything to do with Caitlin Clark at all, other than the fact
Yep.
that she got a contract, which good for her. She got a contract.
Yeah.
She was drafted number 1 overall in the WNBA last week by the Indiana Fever, and will earn a salary of $338,056. That's awfully specific dollars over 4 years. Rookie scale contract for the number 1 overall pick. Now, the reason this gets all the hullabaloo is because, for comparison, San Antonio Spurs rookie star Victor Wembanyama, the number 1 overall pick in last year's NBA draft, secured a 4-year contract worth $55 million,
Wow.
which raised once again the whole, the WNBAs, they don't get paid. There's a gender pay gap. And even President Joe Biden had to weigh in on this one on social media, saying, "Oh, right now we're seeing there's a speck on my glasses. Let me clean that off. Where's my script? Even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share. It's time that we give our daughters the same opportunities as our sons and ensure women are paid what they deserve." Gentlemen, there is absolutely a gender inequality pay gap in this country. However, using this as your example, I think sets that whole movement back, because the people who espouse this opinion look like idiots when you actually examine the situation. Matt, I'll go to you first.
I would tend to agree with everything you just said, Mr. Murray. I would only add on to the caveat of the POTUS. He would be so happy to raise that woman's annual salary, because it means more tax revenue for him and his cronies in Washington. So, as far as I'm concerned, POTUS, you could just stick a fork in it and just shut the hell up. It's one of the reasons why whenever I hear the words, pay your fair share, write the damn check yourself. If you want to pay more to the government, go ahead and pay more to the government. I don't care. Do that. But he would be more than pleased to raise that woman's, Caitlin Clark's, salary to tax it to death, period. But then on top of that, gentlemen, the WNBA, last time I checked, and I'm checking right now on the phone here. Hold on one second. Oh yeah. The WNBA is 100% subsidized by the National Basketball Association.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Now explain to people what that means when a company subsidizes another company.
Yeah. So basically it is, I'll give you a great example of that, Johnny. When I worked for a Netherlands software company, they 100% subsidized the U.S. office, meaning that they would transfer
They paid
the
for the
money
whole
that
thing.
they earned in Europe and transferred some of that money over to the United States so that we could actually, breathe with money in our pocket to try and build the business from here. We were 100% subsidized by our own organization.
Yes.
Ergo, your example. There you go.
Yes. It's shocking how people don't understand how business works.
Yeah.
but they go
Yeah.
on Twitter and it's not hard. This is the thing that it aggravates me. It's not hard. Online class, just take Economics 101. Just take it.
Please.
Just take it because you can figure it all out. This is the dumbest argument I've ever heard on Twitter. Wembanyama makes $55 million because the NBA makes $55 billion.
Yes. Yes.
Caitlin Clark makes $300,000 because the NBA wants to grow women's basketball. That's the difference. It's not there's nothing other than that. I make a lot less than what my company makes because they're nice enough to give me a salary because I do a service.
There you go.
There isn't. If I was a part of a subsidy, I can't argue that I need to make more money because I'm not adding to the profit.
Yes.
Caitlin Clark is not she might add to the profit, but the girls that before her are not adding to the profit because what I was looking up, their TV deal that they have is piggybacked off of the NBA TV deal, almost like the NBA is holding TV hostage. You have to play X amount of games for the WNBA for us to allow you to have X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So the NBA's now footing that bill because they're putting that in their TV deal. So they're not actually winning because they have to give some money back anyway because they're forcing them to put on programming that doesn't get any viewership.
Johnny, to your point, I just pulled this up, Steve, before I let you go there.
Yeah, go ahead.
The WNBA, there's a great article I just pulled up, sports-king.com. WNBA still struggling to produce a profit after 25 seasons. They are still struggling.
That has been paid for.
Yes. So they're not even making
Not
money.
even break even.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give the economics 101 lesson here.
Yes,
Ooh,
please.
I can't wait.
Please.
And first, before I do that, I want to define the gender pay gap. Okay.
Yes.
This is
a
important.
gender pay gap occurs when you have a position that you would, all other things being equal, experience, education, etc., of the candidate, you would pay more to a male than to a female for that same position.
Yes.
Now, let's stop one thing right here. Well, Wembanyama and Caitlin Clark are both basketball players. No.
Yeah.
You need apples to apples comparisons, okay?
Yeah.
Wembanyama is a basketball player in the premier basketball league in the world.
Yes.
Okay? Bryce Harper and somebody down on the Clearwater Threshers are both baseball players.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's their occupation.
Yeah.
That's their occupation. One happens to hold that occupation in the premier baseball league in the world. The other is in a company that is a single A, low tier baseball league.
Yeah.
But let me
Okay.
make one point before you go on.
Yeah.
The Threshers are actually making a profit because the Phillies wouldn't deal with them if they weren't actually bringing something back.
Exactly.
I'm just saying the way the baseball structure is, they use the minor league affiliates because it's a profit. It's an extension of their company. It's not a subsidized part of their company.
Well,
They're
now
not
you're
paying
complicating
100% for it.
You're overcomplicating things. So let me try another example. You could have two people in the food industry.
Yep.
One works in the kitchen of a Mark Vetri restaurant.
Yes.
One works at McDonald's.
Yes.
There will be a pay gap there regardless of gender.
I would hope so.
Of two different companies. All right, now that we've got that set up, let me give you the economics 101 example of what's going on here.
Yes.
Let's say Matt and I each have advertising companies.
Oh,
Okay? We each have 5 employees in our company.
there you go.
Okay? And we're going to make this super simple. We each have $50,000 in expenses, and the rest of the money that we bring in through the business goes to those 5 employees, evenly distributed. Okay?
Yep.
So we got 5 equally paid employees that get whatever's left over after we pay the other costs.
Yeah, make up your own numbers.
So Matt runs a great advertising agency. He brings in $100,000. Okay? minus the $50,000 expenses, we now have $50,000 left to distribute to the 5 employees. So each of those 5 employees will get a $10,000 check.
There you go.
I happen to be the king of flexing. My advertising company brings in $1 million.
Figures as much. Anyway.
I told you I'd get you back. Now,
He's better at advertising.
Now,
that's good. But anyway, go
okay,
on.
so I bring in $1 million, subtract the $50,000 expenses. I now have $950,000 to distribute among those 5 employees, which works out to what, Matt? $195,000 per employee?
I would argue with that. Yeah, 100%.
Something like that?
Yep.
Okay, there's a huge pay gap there. Nothing to do with gender. It has everything to do with how much revenue the company you work for brings in.
Yes.
The NBA brings in a shit ton of money. Wembanyama is part of that company.
Yes.
Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA, which brings in bupkis.
0.
So unfortunately, she's going to get the raw end of the stick on that.
Yeah.
You could use this argument if Caitlin Clark went to the NBA
Yes.
and you said she was getting paid less than a comparable player in that same league.
Yeah.
You cannot use this example across 2 different leagues with 2 different revenue streams.
And
it
here-
just doesn't work.
And here's
Yeah.
the funny thing. If you were to take the bottom 12, let's just say Caitlin Clark makes the Sixers and she's 11 or 12 on the roster just by talent alone, 'cause she's a rookie.
Sure.
And she might be better than some of the guys. So let's just say that she's making more than the 11-12 on the bench of the Sixers right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
she's actually making more money
Yeah.
and still her company makes this many dollars.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is what I mean. When you have actual legitimate gender pay discrepancies,
Yeah.
you got CEOs of comparable sized companies.
They
that
should
a
be-
woman
that-
makes way less. That should be fixed. But when you use this as your argument to fix the gender pay gap,
Nothing's going to get
look
fixed.
an idiot. You look like an idiot, and you bring down the whole damn argument.
Yet nothing's going to be fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to topic 2 in our stupidity segment.
Topic
And
2
one.
of topic 2 in our stupid segment.
Topic 2 of topic 2.
And what?
This really blew me away
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about sports gambling a couple weeks ago with respect to the college game and how individual prop player bets cause more of an issue than, betting the Sixers are going to win by 10,
Yeah.
say. Jontay Porter, a
Oh.
2-way player recently under contract with the Raptors, has been banned from the NBA for life because a league investigation found he violated league rules by disclosing confidential information to sports bettors, limiting his own participation in one or more games for betting purposes,
Yikes.
and betting on NBA games. Prior to the Raptors' March 20th game, he disclosed confidential information about his own health status to an individual he knew to be an NBA bettor. That bettor subsequently placed an $80,000 parlay proposition bet with an online sports book to win $1.1 million, wagering that Porter would underperform in the March 20th game.
Oh.
The league's investigation found Porter limited his own game participation to influence the outcome of one or more bets on his performance. In the March 20th game specifically, Porter played only 3 minutes, claiming that he felt ill. Now, due to the unusual betting activity and actions of the player, the $80,000 prop bet was frozen and was not paid out, fortunately. But Porter also placed at least 13 bets on NBA games using an associate's online betting account, resulting in winnings of $21,000.
Wow.
This guy has now thrown away his NBA career for $20,000
Yeah.
and whatever else he was making for helping
Ugh.
this bettor.
Gosh.
And he legitimately could have made 20 grand by just starting a small business in his community and helping out people. But he's trying to buck this system. He's trying to. It reminds me a lot about what Pete Rose got accused of
Yeah.
when he was managing. And good lifetime ban for anybody. You're trying to influence sports like that for your own. get out of sports because that's not where you need to
Please.
be. Go somewhere
Yeah,
else.
Go somewhere else.
It's just not. Bryce Harper is not sitting at home on his cell phone going, "Oh, I wonder if I strike out 4 times. If there's a prop bet in Vegas, I can make a little money." He's trying to figure out how not to strike out 5 times, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
To me, what Pete Rose did, what this guy did, Porter, is worse than what Pete Rose did.
Yeah.
Because from what we understand, Rose wasn't betting on Reds games.
No, he was just a degenerate gambler.
He was just a degenerate gambler, betting on baseball.
Yeah.
Yes.
This guy was actually tanking his performance to win bets. Matt,
so many
your
things
thoughts?
to say. Yeah, so many things to say. I remember when we were talking about this in pre-production. I remember watching CBS Sports online on their YouTube channel, and I couldn't help but laugh because the guy that was reporting on this story, you can see on the lower third of their graphic, a lot of games that were scheduled to be played, and what do you see? Over
Plus
under.
5, plus 4.
Plus 5 this.
Over 40.
Minus 9.5 here. And I'm just sitting there going like, how is this any different? Honestly, it's like they're just feeding the machine of this. And then the clincher to me was the reporter ultimately then said, well, this is part of the culture now. Something the NBA doesn't want to ban all the way together because it's a revenue stream. And I'm thinking to myself, you just had this bench player commit an egregious act that violated the integrity of your league, and you have the balls to say that they don't want to get rid of gambling? Are you kidding me with this, gents? It's like, I just pray for this to stop. I know it's not going to, because it's just going to feed more. But man alive, when are we going to put the brakes on this thing? Not something to laugh about. Honestly, this is guys are there to play and do the very best of their athletic ability each and every game. We don't need this. I know it's an isolated case, but still.
The one positive we can take from this is that he's banned for life. So now the precedent is set. So that is so important. And I commend the league, even though they're surfing on a gray line that I don't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
I do agree with them of this harsh penalty is huge. Look what it did for baseball. When Giamatti threw down Rozier out. Like, how much did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Going on. No, you didn't. It got more into about the game, and maybe this is what they need to maybe it did get out of hand, but maybe this is something that can help save what is going to happen in the future.
Gosh, I hope so, Johnny.
To his credit, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver did recognize, he said, this matter raises important issues about the sufficiency of the regulatory framework currently in place, including the types of bets offered on our games and players.
Yeah.
Thank God he actually said something smart for the first time in his life.
Yeah. Honestly, you're right, Johnny, because I think the individual prop bets that go on during the game, especially while you're watching, is out of hand, is ridiculous, and it just breeds more of this unnecessary behavior.
It's temptation.
Yes.
Very much so. Yeah.
Like I keep saying, betting on the team to win.
I have no problem with the team bettings. Yeah. The team bets
but
are
the individual players, that is so much temptation.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
We now have a prop bet on how many times John will click a pen in the next segment.
I don't have a clicker on my pen.
If you want to place that prop bet, you go to twonoobstalking.wordpress.com. Actually, that's a lie. There's no betting on
There's no betting on Two Noobs.
but if you go there...
If we can figure it out, I mean. Who doesn't like money?
I ain't paying for that. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
But if you go to the website, you can put your email address in there and you will be notified every time a new episode is put up on the website, because there you can see videos going all the way back to episode 140. And if you want to see anything earlier than that, there is a link to our YouTube channel where you can see everything. Like, share, and subscribe while you're there. And if you prefer to watch people cheating in basketball games, while listening to Two Noobs Talking,
Yes.
you can get your favorite audio link at the website. Maybe. I don't know. There's a few of them there. If
They're
one of them is
correct.
not your cup of tea, you can take our RSS feed, plug it into your podcatcher, and go screw yourself.
Yes.
But
Don't
otherwise,
do that.
Only if you're a Knicks fan. And you're cheating anyway, so
Exactly.
Go
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Knicks fans are cheating at life.
And a Mets fan too. Which, by the way, I have to make a quick comment on their City
Uh-oh.
Connect jerseys.
Oh
The
God,
Mets-
I
Yeah.
thought ours were bad.
seriously, I had a friend of mine. Of course, like you guys know that I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I have a friend of mine in my accounting group, and he sent them to me, and I'm like, dude, these look like the Yankees from 1939. Like, you should be like pissed off. And he's like,
Ryan to be
Oh,
somebody.
you're not. It's like, really? And they have a pig swoosh. It's like, oh my God, it's just
When I was a small child, I was getting into baseball. My dad's a huge baseball head.
yeah.
And I said, Dad, why do those Mets jerseys? Why does the Mets logo look a lot like the Yankees? He was like, because they came around in 1969 and they're just an offbeat of the Yankees. We don't like them. And I said, got it. Moving forward. Oh, I don't like I wonder why I don't like the
Wonder
Mets.
why? Yeah.
I remember when my son was very little, turning on a Phillies versus Nationals game, and he wondered why the Phillies were playing the Pretzels.
Yes, because they were. Because that
Because
is
they were.
Well, they were. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we are sticking to Philly sports, but we're switching topics to hockey. For topic 3, the Flyers season concluded. Unfortunately, did not make the playoffs. Ended at a 2-1 loss, which was, even though they lost, was hilarious.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Detroit Red Wings, but mainly the Pittsburgh Penguins,
Penguins. Yeah.
were eliminated from the playoffs because the Flyers gave up a goal, pulling their goaltender in a tie game.
Love it.
Which,
I
for the
love it.
uninitiated, they did that because the Flyers had to win in regulation to try and secure a playoff spot.
Yes.
So they pulled their goalie, try to get some extra offense in a tie game. It
Yeah.
backfired. They got scored on. Because Washington won the game, Pittsburgh was eliminated. That is a moment of hilarity to punctuate just what was an encouraging yet strange season,
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say. So let's see. I'll go to Matt first. He's chomping at the bit to dive
Yeah.
into this. So, what are your thoughts on the just completed Flyers season?
Well, I leave this season, Steve, very optimistic. In fact, I'll link to it up here in the upper right corner. Episode 158. I came within 2 points of accurately predicting them
Nice.
in the standings. And I said that they would finish 6th, and lo and behold, I was correct. Unfortunately, though, I wish they were in 4th because they were in the top 2 or 3 in the division for most of the year. Clearly exceeding expectations throughout the entire year.
Yes.
And then they have the 8-game losing streak against teams that, well, quite honestly, you should have won. You should have beaten these teams, no question about it.
It's true.
They also had a 5-game losing streak in January where, their legs were dying and they needed that all-star break to come at the right time. Boy, if you had at least 4 of those 10 points, right, from that entire stretch, that would have helped. Clearly, though, I am really encouraged. I think the fact that they were playing above expectations and they played for one another, as Torrell was, he is just the man for the job, gents. I don't know. I would love to get your thoughts on him. Man, I'm glad he's the head coach. If we didn't have anybody else, it was kind of like carrying these kids along going, oh, yeah, you're doing okay. He's pushing their buttons. He's motivating them every single night to do it and to set a better standard for the organization. And it's like they came out of here with a winning record, 38 wins. I don't think anybody exceeded that, would have like a 38-win season for the Flyers. And I think that says a lot about him and his leadership and everything. So I've been very impressed with him. But optimistic for the season to start anew next time when we do the preview. I guess it'll be in September or October.
Matt, I'll ask you to look up because you always seem to have the computer at your fingertips.
Yes, sir.
The Flyers, I believe, played something like 10 games against a team that was the top team in the league at the time they played them.
Yeah.
And their record in those games was something insane, like 8-1-1 or something like that.
The only thing that they struggled with was Nashville. Nashville beat them both times. But every
Yes.
other team that was like in the top 10 or 12, they beat at least one time. Again, that says a ton
Right.
about
Absolutely.
Tortorella. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, John, if I were to say to you back in episode 158, if I were to say to you at that point, the Flyers will be playing a meaningful 82nd game in a season where they had an 8-game losing streak, their goaltender was arrested for being a douchebag.
Yep.
One of their top prospects asked out for a trade. Well, he didn't even ask out for a trade. He stopped talking to the
Yes.
organization.
Yeah.
Yet they're playing a meaningful 82nd game of the season. Would you have taken that?
Without any of that, I would have taken that because of where they came from.
Yeah.
I'll give you my quick post Flyer season. I watched one game. It was the Florida game. And let me just start out. Damn, Florida's good.
Yeah.
I like that team.
True.
Yeah.
I like that team a lot. They can play.
Fix your logo though.
Yes, please.
Go back to the jumping cat.
Please, yes, because that yes, that what's
it's very proud Panther.
That's literally that is their logo right there. Matt, you should be on their jersey.
Give him some ears.
There you go.
Yes,
there you go.
that's all you need.
Oh, that's
so I
funny.
watched one game. I watched the whole game because I at least had to invest that.
Sure.
They're good. The Flyers have a system. They have a concept up and down that makes them an NHL team. What they're missing are very little things that can be fixed. They suck on the power play.
Yes.
So that could be fixed. That's coaching.
Yeah.
That's not playing. That's coaching.
Yeah.
They're horrible on the power play. They probably would have won that Florida game by 12 goals with the amount of power plays they had and the amount of time they were in the offensive zone, which was like 11 seconds.
Yeah.
They just need to grow. They have an issue with injury. I've noticed it seems like someone's always coming back.
Yes.
That doesn't help when you're playing, especially night in and night out. And that probably would have saved those 8-game losing streaks and that kind of stuff. If you have a cohesive unit, if you had more than one line, because that's my last point is they only have one line. They have a bunch of good players, but they only actually have one line where the speed of the game picks up. So when that line comes out, you're like, oh wow, they're ready to play, and there's moving and there's stuff going on, there's hitting going on, and then you're like, well, what? Okay, now there's a lull, and now they're just playing defense. And, all right, the third line's out there. Okay, oh, first line's out there. Okay, oh, they're gonna score again. Like it picks up drastically between 1 and 2. That's something that needs to change, and that's bringing. We got a Russian player that could sit on that second line, and you wouldn't have that immediate change of fast to slow. So things are coming along. That the goaltender that came over, hopefully,
got it off now.
Will replace asshole that did things unspeakable and will never play for the Flyers organization again. Hopefully, never play in the NHL again, because that is not something that pro athletes should aspire to be. That's not something humans should aspire to be. He's a piece of shit, and I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah.
No matter how good he was or not, I don't care.
Yeah.
But he just shouldn't be here.
Yeah. All right, Steve, what do you think, brother?
All right. My delayed rant is it has more to do with kind of so they fell off a cliff, frankly, at the end of the season.
They did, yeah.
And there was especially a lot of panic after the game they lost to the Montreal Canadiens 9-3. And I think everyone acknowledges, I believe, that they ran out of gas towards the end of the year. Now, some of the people in the media here go, well, everybody's tired at this time of the season, blah, blah, blah. And I listened to the Snow the Goalie podcast because I love Chris Therien. I think he's a hell of a guy. Russ Joy grates on me sometimes, and this is one of the things where his position is, well, Torts' style of play is not sustainable over an 82-game period.
I disagree with that. 10
I
minutes.
disagree. I disagree with
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody's tired this time of year, but there are different levels of tired. And I think the Flyers were more tired than most other teams for a couple of very important reasons. And John's kind of touched on a few of them. Number one is this team has to work so damn hard to score a goal.
Very.
One goal, not multiple goals. One goal.
Yeah. The scoring does not come easy to this team.
Not at all.
And that is something that will wear you out because you are constantly, and that's another thing. This is a very resilient team.
Yes.
But they have to work so hard to get back into the game because it's so hard to score goals.
Yeah.
And the power play is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
Because the power play can give you easy goals. And their power play was so god awful, it wasn't able to help them. If they had even a functional power play, I'm not even talking top 10. If they had a functional power play, they would have been in the playoffs.
Spend more than 11 seconds in the offensive zone.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And another part of that too is when you work so hard to score goals and they're not going in.
Yeah.
There's a confidence issue that comes into play.
No doubt.
And you could see this that towards the end of the season, this was not a confident team. Somehow they got it back together and kicked the Rangers' ass.
In Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but they also suck. So just in general, it's
only
it's
won
just
the
a victory.
President's Trophy, you know.
No, but that's just a victory in humanity when you win in because they just suck.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Nothing about their hockey ability. They just suck.
That was a confident team.
Yeah.
And the team that played the Montreal Canadiens was not a confident team. And you could tell when you're losing confidence because you know the play to make, but you just hesitate.
Yeah.
A split second and that window closes and now it's the wrong play.
Yeah.
And I think this team had its confidence shaken a lot in the second half, and confidence is huge in this game. Now, second thing, John also touched on injuries. And in particular, so Couturier was a big story.
Yeah.
Coming back from basically 2 years off.
Yep.
Came out, was phenomenal the first half of the year, but his play fell off. To Matt's point about Torts, I love Torts. I think he does a hell of a job. I don't agree with everything he does. Case in point, I don't like the way the Couturier benching was handled.
Yeah.
But I also at the time felt like giving a guy who's clearly been struggling coming back from an injury and a heavy workload in the first half of the season, giving him some time to rest up was not the worst thing in the world either.
No.
This just could have been handled better.
Yeah.
But Couturier also had an injury. He missed a couple games for injury, and he admitted himself in the post-season press conference that he never really got back to the level. Owen Tippett was flying. He got injured.
Yeah.
Wasn't really the same when he came back.
Yeah.
Travis Konechny was playing with a lot of injuries, but the place where this really hurt them was on D, because if you remember at the trade deadline, Sean Walker was playing great defense for them. They trade him to Colorado, which they should have done. They got a first-round pick for him. That's important.
Yeah, smart
but all around the same time, Risto goes down with an injury. Drysdale goes down with an injury. Sealer goes out with an injury.
Yeah.
Now you're having to have your two top guys, York and Sanheim, log a crap ton of minutes because of what you got coming. Yinning and Adder are nice, but they're not going to take a lot of minutes at this level.
No.
And the rotting corpse of Mark Stahl, God bless him. He I'm sure he meant a lot to the team, but he just clearly, and that's another guy, Cam Atkinson.
Oh,
boy, did that guy fall off a cliff?
Yeah.
And I feel bad because he's a really great guy.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't look like he can have. I mean, he would be trying to forecheck and he couldn't even get to his spots. That was how bad it was.
Yeah. You wonder about his career and where it's going to go, Steve, with him. 70 games played for him. And to your point, he misses 12 games. That's like 2 weeks. Or actually, that's like more like a month when you miss 12 games. Just to give you an idea, most NHL teams play
those were healthy scratches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That says a lot. And it just makes me wonder, if you're going to improve the roster, is that one guy that you would attempt to get rid of. I don't know how much more they have under him, in terms of his contract,
I
but
think he's got one more year left.
so
I don't know what to do.
I don't know.
They
What you would
need,
get.
they need to seriously overhaul their back end of their roster.
Yeah.
I'm
The
not.
depth is coming,
I'm
though, I
not
think.
so concerned about.
Yeah.
Let's just say the top two lines. If you get said prospect over, and you can stick him on second line,
Right.
but they need depth is huge because injury beats them. So depth
Yeah.
is like the number one thing I think Briere and Torts need to look at.
Yeah.
And that gets to my third point about why they were so gassed was aforementioned scumbag getting arrested halfway through
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah.
And a guy who Tortorella said probably would have played like 22 games.
Yep.
I think Urson played more games after the All-Star break than any other goalie in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because our backup goaltending at the time, Sandstrom and Peterson,
Was next to
just
nothing.
Yeah.
couldn't cut it.
Yeah.
Fedotov comes over from Russia and then he gets thrown in. Poor guy's not even here like a week and he's already playing in a game.
He doesn't even have an
Yeah.
apartment and he's playing.
Right? And the guy was in a friggin' gulag probably 2 years ago.
Glad to have him though. Glad
It's-
to absolutely
glad
have him.
he's
that he's
here.
alive and he didn't
Yeah.
disappear, for God's sakes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm so thankful just as a human being he's
Yes,
able to be here.
I'm glad
Yeah.
to have him just as a hockey fan
Yeah.
too because we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
someone.
But Matt, you're right. You've got reasons to be optimistic. We've got 2 first-round picks this year,
Yeah.
which is nice to have.
Yeah.
And to the people who
Oh,
well, you can't acquire high-end talent without a top 5 pick. Nikita Kucherov just had a 100-assist season, which I think only Gretzky and Lemieux have ever done before.
it's 140.
Somebody remind me what year Kucherov was a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Never.
that's right. He was 58th overall.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are ways to get high-end talent without
Yes.
picking top 5.
Yeah.
It's called- Well, in Philadelphia, they were so beaten by the Bob Clark era. They don't understand what scouting and actual hockey, like Keith Jones and Danny Briere and Torts bring. They actually know hockey.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're not living in the old days anymore. You're not mucking and grinding anymore.
Well,
You're trying to find draft picks
Yeah.
that can fit to your. Well, Danny Briere was not a top 5 pick, and he's one of the best hockey players I've ever seen play.
Yeah. John, I was even going to say, like, it's not even the Bob Clark era. It's more like the Chuck Fletcher era.
Well,
When-
they are one and the same because it was just
I totally disagree with that.
It was
I
just-
completely disagree.
no. I just mean with the finding of talent because Bob Clark refused to draft anybody that was in another country.
That's true.
And
That's true.
thank God
That
that's
is very
over
true.
because we need
Right.
those guys because those guys play hockey better than
I
United
would
States
put it
hockey.
this way. Last year, Briere had a ton of balls to go out there and say, we want Mitchkov as our 7th
Yeah.
overall pick. The prior GM would not even remotely touch him with a 10-foot clown pole. And I'm being dead serious on that.
Yeah,
he would
probably
not
not
have
too
even
risky.
absolutely. No,
Too
way
risky.
too risky. Way
too
too
risky. And it would have been like, nope, not going to touch that. And it's like, dude, that is a generational talent over there.
Mhm.
You wait a couple of years, and it's only 2 years away, Jens, for that to, for him
And
to
who
come
knows,
over.
things could spring.
Yeah, I
Your
could
mouth
go
to
over
God's
there
ears, pal.
and yeah, exactly. I could go over
I'm
there.
telling
and
from what
rescue
I've
him.
watched with the KHL and the NHL,
Oh, he
a
is
deal
something
might
else.
be able to be made. Like
He is something else, Jens.
They're
You guys
talking
know
mo-
this.
they're
Yeah.
talking more. Those two organizations are talking more now than they've ever talked. So you don't know it. There could be something in the
No, you never know.
you
Wow.
never know it because that was the one thing that we were worried about 2 years ago is they
Yep.
weren't talking. They didn't want to. They
Right.
didn't want to have conversations.
Yeah.
Now that the NHL has actually shown that hey, they exist and there's talent over there.
Yeah,
Let's get that because let's
Oh.
get all that talent over here, please.
yeah.
I don't care what team it is at that point. Like I want to
He-
see all those boys over here.
Whenever I see him play Mitchkov,
He's good.
Gosh, that kid. It's like you could just picture him in that jersey in the
Oh,
burnt
yeah.
orange and black, and he's
I-
flying up and down that. Oh man,
My only
Magic.
issue with him, it is irrelevant to the normal watcher. My only issue is I just when the rink shrinks.
Yeah.
people will take their shots. And that's the only thing that worries me with him. Because
Yes.
he's so good
Good point.
at the first guy.
Yep. But what if you go along the wall,
The,
right, Johnny?
the second guy
Right.
is what.
Everybody-
But that's the only thing. That's the only thing in his entire game that concerns me.
Yeah.
Is that.
Everybody learns it. I mean, Bedard had to put up with it. Crosby had to put
Yeah.
up with it.
Yeah.
The great ones will find a way.
Yes. I hope it's not an issue. I hope he gets a second gear, and he understands when I beat the first guy, I need to curve and go this way, and then he scores 50 goals, like Bure did back in the day. What was that? 875 in his first year, or whatever that was.
Something like that.
John, you might like this. One of the guys who should be in the range of where the Flyers should be picking their first round pick is the son of former Calgary Flame Jerome Aginla.
Oh yeah,
look at
totally. Give me that kid.
Yeah.
That kid's got pedigree. I don't even need to watch him play.
I don't know enough. I don't scout, so I can't.
I'm just saying, the son of what? Top 10 power forward in the history of the NHL. Okay.
Yeah. That'll work. He's got some
I don't know,
pedigree.
those Kachucks look pretty good.
I'm just saying.
that
That dude's in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we are certainly more jubilant in our recap this year than we were. I don't know what episode it was that we recapped last year's Flyer season, but we are much more upbeat now than we were then. So I'm glad to see that.
Would you guys agree? Would you guys agree with what Briere and Tortorella said in their press conferences?
Yes, absolutely.
Saying we're a couple of years away still.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need some more high-end talent. I agree.
Yep.
I want to end with this. The success might not end with Torts being the coach, but the foundation's going to be there.
Yeah.
But leave Briere and Jones alone because they know what they're doing. And that's it might not be Torts that coaches this team to a Stanley Cup, but I guarantee you Torts' hands are going to be all over that Stanley Cup team.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's going to be the end of where they go.
Yeah.
Like this organization is going to give you a championship. I don't know when it's going to be, but they're going to do it. They're doing everything right.
God, I don't know what I would do if that were to happen. Oh, I hope that happens.
I'd watch it just like everybody else.
Hey Matt, are those tears over there?
Let me get a bottle. Hold on.
All right, so at the end of topic 3, we had a reference that went over somebody's head here.
Yep.
I was referencing Quitter Gauthier in his remark prior to the NCAA Division I hockey championship game that there would be some tears on the other side, after which the other side proceeded to shut his ass out and claim a national championship. So good job, Quitter.
There you go.
Have fun in that cesspool, Anaheim.
Loser. Bring back the Mighty
supposed
Ducks.
better orange and black, whatever the hell that meant. That stupid Twitter.
Bring back the Mighty Ducks.
Please. Yeah, be
Goldberg.
cartoonish. Be cartoonish, right?
I'm tired.
All right. So topic 4, what we have here is a tournament of best teams in Philadelphia to never have won a championship. Matt likes to bring up pain, so I'm going to turn it over to him to host the segment. Matt, take it away, sir.
Oh, thanks, Steve. I don't know if this is really pain points, but I always
one of these teams on this wheel is a pain.
Yeah, it is a pain, but yeah, I always thought like everyone in Philadelphia loves the 1993 Phillies. If you going back 30 some odd years, there was a team that came out of nowhere, won the NL championship,
and they were just a bunch of dudes.
They were just a bunch of beer league softball players
just
going out there, just having fun,
doing steroids, drinking beer,
smoking cigars,
copious amounts of cocaine. Probably, I'm sure they would admit to that at this point.
And so that kind of got me thinking. Over the course, Philadelphia, unfortunately, as my two brothers know here, John and Steve both know, it is a city of pain and disappointment in terms of its entire city's history, in terms of sporting. In terms of sports teams, but I wanted to kind of put together an 8-team tournament to see who is the best at breaking our hearts, I guess. Or
that changes
never to have won a championship. I don't know, but just to see, like, not just for funsies, you know, who would be the best ever. So I have a little pie chart here. We're going to do a little spinning. And so what it'll
Put
be
the sound
is,
on.
I'm not
for God's sake.
I'm not going to do that, but
Put
maybe
the
we'll
sound
do a
on. Come on.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
So what we'll do is we'll do the first two, and then that'll be our first matchup, and then the next two will be the next matchup, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Yep.
That kind of a deal. So
I was frankly surprised John didn't do this for the Crayola crayons.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
saying.
So the first one that we're going to do is the 2009-10 Flyers, probably Steve's favorite team. I would think of the Flyers, right?
They'd be up there. But
They'd be up there.
I'd have to give that serious consideration.
Oh, there you go. So they will face the next team, which is the 2009 Phillies. So the NL champs that lost to the Yankees in the World Series and prevented us from a back-to-back year and making John Middleton lose his ever-loving mind, wanting his trophy back. So the next matchup from there will be the 2000-2001 Sixers, which is probably AI, right?
Yep.
AI's favorite team. That's probably John's favorite, I guess.
It's his only team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only Sixers because they went into the dark recesses of our mind with the Sixers. And they will be facing the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles from 2022. That's a fascinating matchup there. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, gentlemen, as we move on, but 2022 Eagles were amazing. Yeah. Third matchup will be, and it's close, the 2003-4 Flyers, which is the Keith Primo-led Philadelphia Flyers against the Tampa Bay Lightning with that amazing Game 6.
Oh, yeah.
Steve tried to replicate that goal by Keith Primo all the time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The next game, they'll be facing off against the 93 Phillies.
Oh, that's a tough first-round matchup.
That is a lot of,
So I don't know. I don't know who the next two would be. I'm just going to spin this.
We're doing this?
Yeah.
You got to spin it no matter what.
You got to do the
Spin it for the last one. You got to spin it every time.
Goodness.
And I don't know. Who are they facing? I have no idea.
Who knows?
Who knows? But it's going to be, shock, the 1986-87 Flyers.
I like how they still have a line in there. Like,
I know. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny. So there you go, gentlemen.
We missed out on the
matchup
sound.
here. This is interesting. We got some interesting matchups. So we're going to go with the first matchup. 2009-10 Philadelphia Flyers versus the 2009 Philadelphia Phillies. Who do you think would win at breaking our hearts more?
That's not the way I'm looking at it, but
There you go.
is this going to one of us, or are we both?
Why don't we just talk about it? See, we'll get a general consensus, see what happens, and I'll break any tie. That kind of a deal. So,
okay.
what
So
do you
I'll
guys
make the
think?
I'll make the argument for the 09 Phillies.
There you go.
This would have changed. We wouldn't need Bryce Harper if this team would have won.
Interesting. Yeah.
We wouldn't have had to rebuild. We wouldn't have had to. This would have pushed it forward. The 08 team was a shock that they won. If they would have we always said it. They beat Tampa Bay. If they would have played the Yankees, would they have won? Like it was a Cinderella kind of run after 07 to 08. If they solidify beating the Yankees in 9, confidence is high, revenue is high. They might have done the same things that they did, but they might have had more success and maybe won 3, 4. My thing was always I wanted to be the Cincinnati Reds, the 70s Cincinnati Reds. That's what I thought this team. They had such good talent. I thought they could win multiple championships, and we could have a comparable to the Big Red Machine. Like that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all. 09 broke my heart pretty bad if we're going that, but because I thought they could win.
Yeah.
That Yankees team wasn't as good as
the late
the
90s
media
Yankees.
wanted to. wanted to put it together.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
at all. Like it wasn't, and it could have been a win. That Cliff Lee performance was
Oh,
awesome.
yeah,
That is something that stays in Philly lore for the
Yeah.
rest of time.
yeah.
Like that dude, if you don't know who Cliff Lee is, Google him.
Please look him up.
That dude was the man that he owned the city.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah. Yeah.
So Steve
Steve?
was at 10 Flyers, who I love too, by the way. So,
Yeah.
I've got a newspaper up my wall that is the team that famously came back from 0-3 down in a series to beat the Boston Bruins.
Third team in the NHL history to
at
do
the
such.
time,
At the time.
It was a wonderful team, had some great players on it,
Oh.
Danny Briere being one of them.
Yeah.
Amazing run. Ultimately, they ran into, as every Flyer team that makes the finals seems to do, the beginning of a dynasty
Yeah.
Yes.
in the Chicago Blackhawks. Although the goaltending on the Blackhawks side was so bad that if we actually had, there's another one, if we had competent goaltending in the finals, we actually could have won it.
Yeah.
So I love that team to death. They'll always hold a place in my heart for that 0-3 comeback. But I think the 2009 Phillies were the better team.
Yeah.
Because you had Utley, Rollins, and Howard all in their prime.
Yeah.
You had Jason Worth. You had Cliff Lee. That was a very, very good team.
Yeah.
And
If
not for Cole Hamels,
Cole
that
Hamels.
being the year he had whatever he had to work through.
Yeah.
And Pedro if Cole was pitching right, we wouldn't have had to bring in Pedro.
Yeah.
And if Brad Lidge hadn't just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
Like he did before we got him.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He was prone to do that, so maybe replacing him might have been a good idea.
Yeah, I think that Phillies team was built to win, and it really came down to Hamels didn't have his best stuff, and Pedro was at the end of the tank.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think they would have pulled that off.
So you're thinking Phillies to move on,
Yes.
both of you? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if their general manager would have had not his head up his ass after the victory of 2008 and thinking that we could just go in this way, if he would have made 2 tweaks throughout the season, because we all saw the leaks in the boat.
Yeah.
It was if we all ignored it.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Well,
They should have won.
that team won the NL East. They were in charge in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Flyers team in 2010 had to sneak in the last day of the regular season in a shootout. They went down 0-3. There was a very resilient bunch, great group of guys, but that 2009 Phillies team was the real deal.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yep. All right, so next matchup, gents, the 2000-2001 Philadelphia 76ers against the 2022 Eagles. So you're talking about 2 generations of 2 completely different sports, of course, but you're talking a difference of over 20 some odd years between the two. Let's kind of reminisce a little bit about the 01 Sixers. I can remember, AI, Eric Snow, Aaron McKee, and then you make the trade for Dikembe. You had Theo as the centerpiece, but Pat Croce makes the bold choice to trade away Theo for Dikembe Mutombo, and I remember the city went nuts thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to win the title. It just so happens we run into, again, another dynasty, Steve, right, with the Los Angeles Lakers. And even though they win game 1 in an epic game 1 in overtime, with AI stepping over Tyronn Lue, you're thinking like, holy cow, we are going to win. Nope. 4 straight losses later, it's like, that was pretty much the dud of that.
Ray Didinger reality check.
Yeah, exactly.
That was because Kobe. That's because Kobe showed up at the gym at 1 a.m. and practiced 17 times while AI was in the LA bars.
I mean, you're not going to lie, right?
I'm not lying. That's actually what happened.
and then you have the 2022 Eagles. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chance. Do you think that was out of nowhere, that whole thing? I think if I remember right, when we were doing the...
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was out of nowhere.
You don't think it was? Okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, David on our podcast, I know, predicted them to go to the Super Bowl.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
We were hoping for it, but yeah.
But it was more Sirianni than it was the team.
Yeah.
We didn't think. I think we didn't think that like they could put it together that fast. And
Yes.
but I mean they look at what they did 22 to 23. Like obviously they know what they're doing. They
Yeah.
need to fix some things.
Yep.
I don't think it was a surprise when the season started, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have the same, to me, it doesn't have the same. That Sixers team scratch, clawed,
Yes.
kicked, screamed, threw
Yeah.
up, wet themselves. They did everything that you do in a championship season.
Yeah.
Everything went wrong. People got hurt. Allen was the villain. Eric Snow held the team together.
Like duct tape and
Yeah, there was Aaron McKee was the leading 3-point shooter for
it was
that
the
year.
sixth man of the year.
Yeah, literally, like Aaron McKee has no business being the sixth man of the year in any division, in any league, ever.
Yeah.
Just look at his career. And he comes out and he's the best at that. And they ran into Kobe, who is one of my favorite players of all time. Everybody knows this.
Yep.
They ran into Kobe and and Shaq, by the way. And Shaq Shaq doesn't suck at things.
No.
Just a newsflash for everybody. Shaq is not bad at what he does.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, he's pretty good at it.
He's just the most dominant center ever in the history of the league.
Am I taking your vote for the 2001 Sixers?
Yeah, I'll go Sixers. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to disagree with the esteemed gentleman from Texas.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that's fine. That's what
Because you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The 2001 76ers was really the 2001 Allen Iversons.
Yes.
Allen Iverson was the reason they were where they were, and if he wasn't on, they lost a game. They had to go 7 games with Toronto and 7 games with the Bucks because they needed. And if you look at the games, when Iverson was good, they won, and when he wasn't, they lost.
Yeah,
and he was really good. Did he drop 50 in Game 1 of the finals?
Yeah, I think so.
It a few times. Yeah, in that playoff run.
Well, in the Game 1 of the finals, which is the game they won. The next 4 games, not so much.
Yeah.
So I can't really say the 2001 Sixers were that great of a team. It was really dependent on whether Iverson was going or whether he wasn't.
Fair enough.
The 2022 Eagles were a dominant team, both offensively and defensively. And I think what got them in the end was the field in Arizona neutralized the biggest weapon on defense, which was their pass rush.
Yeah.
And their dumbass defensive coordinator couldn't adjust for it.
Yeah.
Which hilariously goes to Arizona after that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So because the offense was scoring fairly much at will against Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
So there was no problem with the offense. It was the defense couldn't overcome the fact that their pass rush was slowed by the field.
Yeah.
And a better defensive coordinator would have said, you know what, the pass rush is getting slowed. We gotta do something different. We gotta fix something defensively.
For
it. And he never
just
did.
to take a shot at the Eagles, they didn't do anything to correct that in the season after that.
Just FYI.
Just saying.
So the 22 Eagles to me are the better team. So now you have to break the tie.
I don't disagree with that. So.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think the Eagles will move on for there. So third
Love
match.
the Sixers, but the Eagles.
No, I totally agree.
I totally agree. Yeah. So here we go. Another one. This one's going to be interesting, guys. The 2003-2004 Flyers against the beloved 1993 Philadelphia Phillies. Very interesting matchup. 93 Phils, of course, beloved. No reason they should be even in the National League Championship Series, much less at that point with the division.
Yeah, didn't they win the division? Like they should.
That was how you got in the playoffs.
They shouldn't have been. Yeah, they shouldn't even been in the conversation.
Yeah, and they were. They just caught fire, and they just never relented, and they were just beloved.
And we remember everybody that was on that team.
Absolutely, yeah. And then you have the 2003-04 Flyers. Keith Primo, you have an amazing run, equally amazing run, comparable to 09-10, I would think, but they fell short of getting to the Cup final, losing to the Lightning, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, in 7. They lost in Game 7 to Tampa, pushed them to the brink, ironically against John Tortorella. Yeah. In 2003-04. So, what do you guys think in that
Steve,
matchup?
you go first.
Yeah.
I love the 93 Phillies. That was the first time in my conscious childhood where a Philadelphia team that I could watch was good.
Yes.
And in a particular sport I played.
Timely hitting, timely pitching.
Right.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about a better team, that team wasn't good before that year, and they weren't good after that year.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they spent a lot of money on people that weren't good.
Yeah. So it was a great run, but the 03-04 Flyers, to me, and people talk about, missed opportunities for the Flyers back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yes.
The 2000 team gets brought up a lot, the 97 team.
Yep.
What if it had, to me, the 04 team is the team out of all of those that had the best shot. And what got them in 04 was the injuries.
Yeah.
Particularly to their defense.
Yeah.
They lost Desjardins, their number one defenseman, before the playoffs even started because he broke his arm having catch with his son.
Which, what are you doing? Really? Right? I don't quite
his
understand
son's got
that.
a rocket of an arm, apparently.
Yeah.
And then you had Yoni Pikkinen had a concussion. Kim Janssen, I think, had a broken hand at one point. Sammy Kapanen was forced to play defense a couple times because of how light they were back.
Yeah,
he did a great job, but you could tell Game 6, and I always like to point this out. Game 6, they Primo scores the goal with like 2 minutes left to tie it. Gagne scores late in the first overtime, and the iconic picture from that goal, Gagne looks so tired after that goal. And in Game 7 against Tampa, they had no gas left in the tank.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Yeah.
Despite my son is named after 2 players from that huge run.
Yes.
They ran out of gas because they were so punished defensively.
Yeah.
That they didn't have enough bodies to keep them going.
Yeah.
So to me, that team was the better team.
By the way, shout out Mark Recchi was your leading point scorer for that team in 2003.
Was he really?
75 points. Yeah. 26 goals, 49 assists. Johnny, what do you think between the two? Real quick. What do you think?
That Flyers team is my favorite Flyers team of all time.
Okay.
So 97 was before that.
Yep.
That team should have won a championship. Damn it.
Yeah.
But it was the next
Dynasty, Red Wings.
Yeah.
They should have beat them.
Yeah.
It just made sense. We were the workhorse town. You beat the big blah blah blah. Yeah, but I hated hockey after that.
Yeah.
And the 04 team came along, and I enjoyed watching them play. And they, like Steve said, they did run out of gas, similar to the 93 Phillies. So the 04 Flyers move on because the Phillies, that was the first time I think in 100 years Philly sports fans actually paid attention to the Phillies.
Yeah.
And they've been around since the 1800s. So it's not I would pick other teams in the 93. I understand Joe Carter broke our heart, but I didn't sit much on that.
I mean, he had no business being there to begin with.
Yeah, it was a bunch of nobodies that knew nothing, that didn't know how to do anything. All the way up to
the World Series. What the hell?
The owner to the general manager to the training staff. Yeah. Nobody deserved. They didn't have an acumen to be there. They just deserved to be there because they worked their asses off.
Yeah.
But to be the Philly, no. The Flyers move on.
Okay. Then finally, 2004 Eagles against the 86-87 Flyers. And I went back and forth between 86-87 and 97. I left 97 out because I think it was just the sweep of Detroit that was like, really? You just didn't even show up for the Stanley Cup final. Of course, we're going up against 4 lines of Detroit, and you have the Legion of Doom. 4-1 odds, not exactly ideal.
Oh, we talked about that in our finish.
Yeah, 86-87 was the closest the Flyers have ever gotten to getting the Stanley Cup. 1 game short
Yep.
Since 75. They've won
Since 75.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, they
no.
actually did raise cups.
Yeah.
And
But
should have probably raised that third one, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, what do you think of that? I guess, John, 86, 87 Flyers or the 04 Eagles, NFC champion
All right.
Eagles?
So I was alive during both of these, so and I was
Really?
fans of both of these teams.
Yeah.
Man, Hextall.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, if you want to, if you're a young goaltender,
Yeah.
listening to this and you want a little bit of advice, watch that. 80, like he stood on his head.
Yeah.
He put that on the ESPN map of
He
standing
did.
on your head goaltending.
Yeah.
That's where that came from, because there wasn't anybody before that literally took a team. That team was very similar to the Flyers team we just talked about.
Yep.
They couldn't score at a pace that their opponents could. And
Yeah.
Hextall, man, he put on a that's what made him a Philly legend. That's what made
Yeah.
him amazing, and why we followed his career and knew he was even a GM. And then
Yeah.
he came here and screwed everything up, but that's fine. You're not a
But then he
GM.
went to
It's fine.
Pittsburgh and screwed everything up there, which is great.
Exactly. He screwed up.
I'm
Pittsburgh.
still
We
not,
love that.
but I'm also not mad at you.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
But that put Hextall on the map. That didn't put the Flyers on the map.
Yeah.
Then the 04 choke.
T.O.
They move on because
Oh.
I hate that quarterback, but they should have won.
That title. Yeah.
They should have won that title.
Yeah.
They should have won that. That was T.O. comes back from a
Yeah,
friggin'
with the broken leg
Look,
and yeah.
like 11 years earlier than you're supposed to. Like
Yeah.
in a tank, he's working out harder than everybody else. Quarterback, your wide receiver is working out feverishly to come back, and
No.
you're not. I know
No.
because I worked in the town that you were drinking in. He's working at home, coming back. I say the Eagles because that was extremely disappointing because the showing was awful.
Yeah. That's so disappointing.
Should have beat that team.
Should have beat that team. Steve?
I will concur with the gentleman from Texas, but
There you go.
it's because the Eagles were the better team.
Yeah.
Yes.
They had been building for several years, and they
Yep.
finally got over that hump in the NFC Championship game. And he is, whatever happened in that game, he still is the best quarterback
Agreed.
in
Agreed.
franchise history.
Yeah.
Agreed. Until
Um,
Jalen surpasses him, but that's
Well,
okay.
yeah, that may happen eventually, but we're not at that
Yeah,
point
it's
yet.
not there yet. No, it's totally not there yet. Yes,
Yeah,
he is
yeah,
the best
yeah.
quarterback.
So they had a hell of a defense, a hell of a defensive coordinator. They had a great offense. They had a tremendous running back. They had T.O.
Their coach was pretty good too.
Their
He's won a couple
coach was
Super
pretty
Bowls.
good.
Good.
Yeah, since
Yeah.
that was a hell of a team. Whereas the 87 Flyers, you're right. They went up against the Edmonton juggernaut,
Yeah.
and it was Hextall that kept them in it.
Kept
Yeah.
him in. Totally.
It was it's the equivalent of the Iverson 01 Sixers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's a good
Um,
way to put it.
You know,
Yep.
it was he won the Conn Smythe even though they lost.
Yes.
Conn
Which
Smythe,
is-
for those who
which
don't
is the
know,
greatest-
Conn
That's the
Smythe
greatest
is the
achievement.
MVP
Yeah.
of the playoffs,
Yeah.
which usually goes to the team that wins
Wins
the
it.
championship.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
went
and
to the
scores the most
loser.
goal. Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's the greatest achievement in sports history, I believe,
Yeah.
is Hextall winning the Conn Smythe.
That's right up there. Rank's certainly right
Like
up there.
I can't think of anything else other than like your individual. It's an individual award,
Award.
and
Yeah.
he won it
Yeah.
facing odds, being in the playoffs, facing odds that were. He was a rookie, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
rookie winning. Like it's one of the greatest achievements I think I've ever seen in
Yeah.
sports.
Against one of the greatest NHL teams
in
in
the history
history.
of the NHL.
We
Yeah.
might be able to sit down and say they were the greatest. That team
Maybe.
That team was good.
Yeah.
Like
Very
good. Like their third line was
29, 9 and
good.
2, 29, 9 and 2 regular season home record, guys, at the old Spectrum in Philadelphia. I just looked it up, and Timmy Kerr had 58 goals that year.
Yeah, he was talented.
Wow.
Taking a bruising and a beating in the slot. 58 goals, by the way.
Yeah, but you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. Edmonton probably had what, 12 Hall of Famers on
Pretty
that
much,
team?
yeah.
Just 7 guys scored 58 goals.
And they also had Grand Furor
on
cocaine.
Wednesday. Like it wasn't even.
They also had Grand
Wasn't
Furor
even in
cocaine.
season. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, he could play. He could play some net.
He could play a little too. Yeah.
Tiny bit.
Yeah.
All right. So
Eskimo.
we're at the final four. 2009 Phillies, 2022 Eagles. On one side of the bracket, 2003-4 Flyers against the 2004 Eagles on the other side of the bracket. So we'll go on the left side. 09 Phils against the 22 Eagles, gents. Real quick, what do you think?
I go 22 Eagles.
22
They
Eagles?
They were a more complete team.
I'm going
That-
22 Eagles also.
Okay.
The 2009 Phillies just had one pitcher,
Yes.
and that's what.
Yep.
Yep, what we talked about before. Yep. And then 04 Flyers against 04 Eagles. So you got Keith Primo against your T.O. Donovan McNabb Eagles.
Didn't Chad Lewis break his
Yes.
ankle
Yes.
in the championship
In the
game? And
NFC
then they had
championship game.
to sign Jeff Tomlinson
Yeah.
to play just to
Yeah.
fill a roster.
Just to fill a
Like,
roster spot. Yeah.
He scores the game when he goes, I broke my ankle.
One of my all-time favorite quotes. Yeah, I scored a touchdown and I broke my foot. I'm like, oh, great. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Right.
We sign a Green Bay fucking practice squad player.
Yeah. I would say the 04 Eagles are probably the better team, but not by much. Not by much. It's close.
It depends what we're going on. Disappointment, they absolutely beat the Flyers.
Yeah. And we're
Shoulda
thinking
won. Shoulda
Best team
won.
to have never won the title.
Shoulda won. Yeah, it goes to the Eagles again. Like those Flyers. Yeah, absolutely those Flyers. But those Eagles, like, shoulda won
God should have won. Yeah.
4 NFC championship games. You're finally there.
Yeah, you're finally there. You
Yeah.
think you're
I
going
mean,
to get over the hump?
Both teams were beaten down the door, but the Eagles, it was like
I
every
think that's why
year.
I think that's why I'm so bitter about the whole
I
thing.
mean, let's be honest. They were missing a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Or
It
they were a
appears.
complete team for
Yes.
those first 3 years that they went to the NFC Championship game. The one thing they were lacking was a wide receiver.
That
They
was
finally got
WR1.
one. They got in.
I will
Mm-hmm.
readily admit if they had the wide receiver core that the 22 team or the 23 team had,
Yeah.
Donovan would have won a championship.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. by
Absolutely.
far.
Like there would have been no like
Hands
if
down.
he had 1 or 2 guys that could run a route. There wasn't
like
a tight
Jeff
end.
Oakman.
There
Yeah.
wasn't a tight end. I'm like, I'll shit on him all day long, but I totally understand. Like the tight end got hurt. The one guy that was running routes and he was getting
Yeah.
passes to breaks his foot in the
Foot.
championship game.
Yeah.
No, the 04 Eagles as probably the team that I wanted to win the most
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
didn't, and most heartbreaking. Absolutely, they should move.
There you go. So it's 04 Eagles, 22 Eagles, gents, as the best team to have never won a title that should have in the city's history. And I
I'll
would
start the
nominate
ar-
this. I would say 22 Eagles, only because they are the better team from top to bottom. They proved it the entire year. Both teams were terrific. Both of them were. Now that I think about it, both of them were NFC title holders, #1 seeds. I think the edge goes to 22 only because we're 2 years removed from it. And it's like, damn it. You have AJ and you have Devontae. You don't have that in 04. You just don't. You only have T.O. And I think the talent that we had on the wide receiver and you're back and forth. And if he just changed your cleats in that Super Bowl, that's all you had to do. Just change your cleats.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was just. I think it was coaching there, and that's the one thing that was. But I'll also make the case in the 04 Eagles.
Yeah.
Coaching was a I don't blame Donovan 100%. I think coaching was a
Well,
huge problem in that one.
Timeouts. Yeah.
Yeah, his famous timeout bungling, and you have one of the greatest running backs in the team's history in Brian Westbrook, and you don't run the damn ball.
Here's my problem with Andy Reid. Always will be, and always forever will be. How the bleep does this man know how to call timeouts when he's with the Kansas City Chiefs, but he didn't with the Philadelphia Eagles? I understand learning, but come on, dude. That's a basic task. That's like me putting underwear on. Like, you know when to do it and you know when not to do it. Like, that's the one thing that pisses me off about Andy Reid. Like,
that's the line
asshole.
of the entire podcast right there. I know how to do it. I know when to do it, Johnny.
I don't know who to vote for.
It's tough.
I'm going with Matt. I'm going with the 22 team.
I'm going to go with the 22
I just went through it in my head, and I think you're right.
Yeah.
If you like position by position, I think the 22 team beats the 20.
May I have the floor real quick?
Go for it.
I hate Donovan McNabb for everything he exists. His professional career, I despise that man. I think he's a douchebag. And I don't think he cares, and I don't think he should have ever been in Philadelphia. I think he should have played in Cincinnati with his bullshit antics. I hate the dude 100%.
You don't like the air guitar, Johnny?
No, I hate everything about that. I hate everything about that man. I think he's a phony and a fake.
Him.
I think he's a phony and a fake.
Oh.
And he broke my heart, and I hate him for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the organization broke my heart. The coach broke my heart. The defense didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So they weren't the complete team. That 22 team should have run them over. It shouldn't even been a contest.
Yeah.
That team, and it showed it last year, and it showed the stupidity of not being able to fix their. This is the funny part about the 23 Eagles and the 24 Eagles. Hopefully they've fixed what they figured out in 22-23.
Yeah.
Their problems are on the sidelines. It isn't on the field.
Yes.
And they need to figure that out. And that was all they were missing.
Yeah.
Was coaching in that.
Yeah.
There's too many things missing in the 04 team. They weren't that complete team.
Yeah. Yeah. I
totally vote the 22 team to be in the most disappointing.
Yeah. The team that should have won it all.
And the 23 team. And hopefully not the 24 team.
I disagree. The 23 team should not be considered.
There you go.
All right, so that ends episode 186 with the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles being the best Philadelphia team to never win a championship. They have now won a championship for not winning a championship.
Yes.
There you go.
If that makes sense to you. So.
And then it turned into the 23 that didn't even compete.
Let's stop. I don't want to talk about the 23 team anymore, John.
I know it hurt. I know
You're
it
such an
hurts.
asshole. I'm going to fly down to Texas and punch you in the face if you mention the 23 team again.
But I sit here and shit on Donovan all the time, and you let me. Roger Goodell's a racist. Let's go.
That's fine. All right, so John's all fired up, which means we got to get out of here before he breaks something.
There you go.
So hopefully we'll see him next week.
Sixers in 4.
Hopefully we'll see you next week. We'll have another fun topic for topic 4, and we'll probably have a bunch of stuff to talk about for topics 1 to 3.
There you go.
All right, until then, get out.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Two Noobs Talking. For more information about our podcast, check out twonoobstalking.wordpress.com, and we'll see you next week.